It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, the kind that fades quietly into the city lights. Wang Yibo, one of Asia's brightest stars, had just wrapped up another long day on set. Cameras had stopped rolling, crew members were packing up, and the scent of rain hung heavy in the air. But what happened next would send shockwave through the entire entertainment industry. That night, Wang Yibo almost disappeared, and no one saw it coming. The story begins with a sudden silence. Around 10:47 p.m., Wang Yibo's car pulled away from the studio. His assistant, exhausted, had already gone home, leaving Yibo to drive himself for a short ride, or so everyone thought. But somewhere between the twisting mountain roads outside the filming location and the city, all contact was lost. His phone stopped responding, GPS tracking froze, and his team's messages went unanswered. Within an hour, panic began to rise. The rain intensified. Visibility dropped to nearly zero. The same serene roads that had always guided him safely back home became a maze of shadows and mist. Reports say the last known footage of Yibo's car came from a gas station camera near the hillside. His face calm, his expression unreadable. After that, it was as though the night swallowed him whole. Fans woke up to a nightmare. Hashtags exploded across social media. #Where is Wang Yibo? #Yibo missing, and #Stay safe Yibo trended within minutes. Messages flooded his fan pages. Even those who had never met him felt the pulse of fear ripple through their hearts. Wang Yibo was not just a celebrity. He was a symbol of dedication, quiet strength, and relentless pursuit of perfection. The thought of him vanishing without a trace felt impossible, almost surreal. By 3 a.m., the search had begun. Police units, rescue teams, and even volunteers from nearby towns joined the effort. Drones hovered above the forested slopes, their faint red lights blinking through the fog. Every rustle of leaves, every faint echo was investigated. The mountains, usually peaceful and beautiful, now seemed alive, whispering secrets in the darkness. Hours passed. The world held its breath. Then, just before dawn, something strange happened. One of the search drones picked up movement, faint, irregular, and deep within the wooded trail, where no road led. The rescuers followed the signal. Flashlights cut through the mist. The sound of rushing water grew louder as they approached a small ravine. And there, at the edge of a steep drop, they found tire marks leading straight into the darkness below. The air was thick with tension. A broken guardrail told part of the story. The rescuers climbed down, fighting through slippery rocks and branches until finally, deep beneath the trees, they saw it, the twisted silhouette of a black car half submerged in a shallow creek. It was his. The door was open, the seatbelt unlatched, but Wang Yibo was nowhere to be found. At that moment, even the rescuers froze. The thought that he might have been swept away, injured, or worse, it was almost too much to process. Yet one of them noticed something. Footprints. Fresh ones. Leading away from the crash site and disappearing into the forest. That was the moment everyone realized Wang Yibo was alive. For nearly 6 hours after the crash, Yibo had been wandering through the dense mountain forest. Disoriented, soaked, and bruised, he had managed to climb out of the wreckage and search for help. The cold had begun to set in, and the rain showed no mercy. But the same determination that had carried him through every obstacle in his career was now keeping him alive. Later, when rescuers finally found him sitting under an abandoned wooden shelter, shivering but conscious, his first words were soft and simple. "I thought I'd disappeared for real." He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors confirmed that though he had sustained minor injuries, he was miraculously safe. The moment photos of him lying in the hospital bed surfaced online, fans across the globe erupted in tears and relief. People were seen crying in the streets, lighting candles, and sending millions of messages under one unified hashtag, #Welcome back Wang Yibo. But what truly captivated everyone wasn't just the accident, it was what he said afterward. When reporters asked how he managed to survive, Yibo gave a faint smile and replied, "When everything went silent, I remembered the faces of the people who never gave up on me. That's what kept me walking." That statement broke the internet. It wasn't just about survival. It was about resilience, connection, and the human spirit that refuses to vanish even in the darkest of nights. In the days that followed, interviews revealed more chilling details. Yibo confessed that in those moments alone in the forest, he wasn't thinking about fame, awards, or the next big project. He thought about the little things: his mother's voice, his fans' letters, the laughter on set, and even the quiet nights spent practicing his dance routines. When you think you're about to disappear, he said, you realize what truly matters. Rumors began circulating about the cause of the accident. Some speculated that the slippery roads and sudden fog were to blame. Others whispered of something more mysterious: how his GPS and phone signal had both cut off moments before the crash, almost as if fate itself wanted to test him. Whatever the cause, the truth remained: Wang Yibo's survival was nothing short of miraculous. His return was marked by a quiet press conference weeks later. Standing before flashing cameras, wearing a simple white shirt, he bowed deeply and said, "Thank you for not forgetting me, even when I almost disappeared." His voice trembled, but his eyes were filled with gratitude. Fans watching live around the world burst into applause and tears. That single moment reminded everyone why he wasn't just a superstar. He was human. The incident changed him profoundly. Friends and colleagues noted that Yibo became more reflective, more grounded. He started speaking openly about rest, mental peace, and the value of slowing down in a world obsessed with speed. He even wrote a handwritten note to his fans, saying, "Sometimes life pushes us into the dark just to remind us how beautiful the light is." The story of Wang Yibo's near disappearance became more than just a headline. It became a legend. It showed that even the brightest stars can fade for a moment, but true light always finds its way back. It also became a wake-up call for many, reminding the world that behind the fame and glamour lies a human heart that beats, breaks, and hopes just like anyone else's. As for Yibo, he returned to work with a renewed sense of purpose. When asked if he feared the roads now, he smiled and said, "No, I just drive with more gratitude." His next performance was not just a comeback. It was a statement of life, courage, and survival. That night when he stood under the stage lights again, fans screamed louder than ever before. Every cheer was not just for his talent. It was for his resilience, his fight, his spirit. The man who almost disappeared had become a living symbol of hope. Wang Yibo's story is not one of tragedy, but of rebirth. It's a reminder that even when the world forgets to look your way, even when the storm is too strong and the night too long, you can still rise. Because sometimes, disappearing isn't the end. It's the moment before the greatest return. So if you've ever felt lost, unseen, or forgotten, remember this: Wang Yibo did too. But he came back stronger. And that, perhaps, is the real miracle of that unforgettable night. The night was restless, the air thick with tension, as if the universe itself knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. Wang Yibo's car moved along the rain-soaked highway, headlights cutting through sheets of water that fell relentlessly from the heavens. The clock on the dashboard read 11:06 p.m. The world outside blurred into streaks of light and shadow, a cinematic scene no director could have ever crafted better. Inside the car, Yibo sat in quiet thought. The hum of the engine was the only sound breaking the silence. He had spent the entire day filming intense action scenes, pushing his limits as usual, determined to perfect every move, every emotion. But as he drove through the winding roads, exhaustion began to seep into his bones. The rain grew heavier, and visibility worsened. He turned the wipers to full speed, yet the road ahead remained a moving haze. Somewhere deep inside, he felt a strange unease, a flicker of instinct whispering, "Slow down." He eased his foot off the accelerator, eyes narrowing as lightning split the sky in two. For a moment, everything was illuminated: the sharp curves of the mountain road, the silver glint of wet guardrails, and the endless drop that waited on the other side. Then darkness swallowed it all again. The radio crackled, static, then silence. His phone buzzed once with a message from his assistant. "Text me when you get home." He smiled faintly and placed it aside. But just as his attention shifted back to the road, a flash of light cut across his path. A day, startled by the storm, darted from the trees. Yibo jerked the wheel instinctively, tires screeching as the car spun violently across the slick asphalt. Time slowed. The world tilted. The sound of metal scraping against guardrail screamed through the night. Then came a moment of pure weightlessness, a sensation that felt like falling through emptiness. And in the next heartbeat, the car plunged off the road and into the darkness below. Rain pounded mercilessly as the car crashed through branches, rolling down the slope until it came to a jarring stop at the bottom of a ravine. Silence. Only the sound of the rain and the slow drip of water from the crushed metal roof. For what felt like an eternity, there was no movement. Then, a faint groan. A hand pressed against the shattered window. Wang Yibo stirred. Dazed, disoriented, his head throbbed, and his right shoulder screamed with pain. The airbag had deployed, saving his life, but the car was a wreck. Glass glittered like frost across the seats. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his heartbeat. The world around him was pitch black except for the dim glow of the dashboard light. He could hear water trickling nearby, a stream, maybe. He knew one thing. He had to get out. Unbuckling his seatbelt, he crawled through the broken window, the rain soaking him instantly. His foot slipped on the muddy ground, sending him crashing onto his knees. The forest loomed around him, dark and endless. No signal, no road, no help in sight. He called out, his voice barely audible over the storm. "Hello? Anyone?" But only his echo replied. He realized then that no one could hear him. The road above was too far, the slope too steep. For the first time in years, Wang Yibo felt a surge of fear. Not the kind that comes from facing cameras or performing dangerous stunts. This was raw, primal fear. The kind that makes your hands tremble and your heart race because you suddenly understand how small you are against the vastness of nature. Hours seemed to blur as he stumbled through the forest, searching for any sign of a path. Branches tore at his clothes. Mud clung to his shoes. At one point, lightning illuminated the trees, revealing a faint wooden trail sign. Old, barely readable. He followed it. His breath came in gasps, his body aching, but he refused to stop. Somewhere inside him, a quiet voice repeated, "Keep walking. Don't stop now." Then, something incredible happened. As dawn began to break, a faint light appeared through the mist, a small wooden cabin, weathered by years but standing strong amidst the storm. He made his way toward it, pushing open the creaking door. Inside was nothing but an old bench, a broken lantern, and the faint scent of damp wood. But to Yibo, it felt like salvation. He collapsed onto the bench, drenched, trembling, and finally allowed himself to breathe. In that silence, he realized how close he had come to vanishing, how one second, could have erased everything he had built. His thoughts drifted to his fans, his family, his friends, and the thousands of moments that made up his life. He whispered softly to himself, "Not yet. I'm not done." Back on the mountain road, rescue teams were already searching. His assistant had sounded the alarm when his messages went unanswered. Helicopters scanned the area, and fans across the country flooded the internet with prayers. It was as though the entire world had paused, waiting for a sign that Wang Yibo was still out there. When the rescue team finally found him hours later, sitting beneath that wooden shelter, his hair plastered to his forehead, eyes heavy but alive, the relief was indescribable. One of the rescuers shouted, "We found him. He's alive." Those words echoed through the valley, and soon the world would know that Wang Yibo had survived what could have been a tragedy. At the hospital, doctors were astonished. Aside from a dislocated shoulder and a few bruises, he was perfectly fine. "It's a miracle," one of them said. Yibo smiled weakly and replied, "Maybe it's not a miracle. Maybe it's a reminder." And perhaps that's what it truly was. A reminder that even the strongest can falter, that even stars can vanish for a moment before shining brighter than ever. That night changed him forever. He began to cherish life in a new way, to pause, to breathe, to see the beauty in simply existing. His story spread like wildfire, not just as a headline but as a message of hope. Fans called it the night Wang Yibo reborn. Artists, actors, and fans from around the world sent their love, flooding social media with messages that read, "You didn't disappear. You just came back stronger." The night he almost disappeared became the night he truly lived. Sparkles, if you were touched by this emotional story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with other Yibo fans, and comment your thoughts below.